What's up, everybody? Chuck Bailey with the Bass Channel here, and we're doing something a little different. I normally don't do 4-string bass reviews. My focus has been on the 5-string, but this one's pretty special. It's from my personal collection, and you don't see very much of them, so I thought it would be cool to put it on the channel. This bass is a 1967 SA70 hollow body Yamaha. These basses were built in Japan in the late 60s, and they are just so cool, oozing with mojo and tone. I love the fact that this bass exists, and I love the fact even more that I own it. And I'm gonna go into some specs and details on this bass, and then see what you guys think.
Today on the Bass Channel, we're checking out the Midtown Standard by none other than Gibson.
Hi, I'm Jayme Lewis from thebassist.net, and today I'm hanging out with my friends at Basic Gear Review to show you my Guild Starfire.
So one thing that sticks out for this bass, again, it was 1967. Their focus on these Yamahas were being built in Japan. I believe the factory was Nippon Gaki. The bass, where you could see the serial number, it's engraved in the fingerboard on the neck. It's not on the back of the headstock like a lot of basses are. And I checked this, and it dated to, as I mentioned, 1967. Some really cool stuff happening with this bass. It's got volume, and a blend. The pan pot is reversed though, so how you would go forward, that's affecting the bridge, and if you're going backwards where you would think would be the bridge, it's affecting the neck. I don't know if they did that on purpose. It is, from what I've been able to gather as far as the information goes, that was the style at the time. So their focus on the pan pots for this specific bass are reversed. Still, doesn't matter, you just go the other way. Sounds amazing.
First of all, interesting thing to note is that the Gibson logo up top is silk screened instead of inlaid. That generally indicates that it's like kind of the studio line or a slightly cheaper line. But turning it around to the back of the headstock, you have what you'd expect to see, the big old vintage style Clover, that was an inadvertent rhyme, tuners. And one of my favorite features, one that I think should be standard on all Gibsons with tilt-back headstocks, which I believe is all Gibsons, because I don't know if any of them have straight headstocks, but either way, it's this volute back here, which just gives you a little bit of mass at that tilt to protect the headstock from breaking if it, for some reason, falls backwards. And of course, gives people less opportunity to use the detachable headstock joke. We have got binding over frets along the neck, as well as binding on the body, not on the headstock, of course, because this isn't really a custom, it's a standard. It's got dot inlays, obviously the back of the neck is finished in nitro. It's all mahogany. It's a semi-hollow design, but the top is flat instead of the classic arch top of like the 335. It's got a set neck. It's got rear access controls, which is actually a really nice touch for semi-hollow stuff, because on the ones that don't have the rear cavity, it can be a pain if you ever need to swap a pickup or fix a pot or anything of that nature. I had a friend who said that the reason they're called F-holes is because you can only say F when you're trying to change these out.
And actually the story with this bass is very similar to my Gibson Grabber, where I wanted one for a really long time, but I'm such a cheap ass that I won't pay real money for it. So I just kept an eye out at pawn shops and eBay and Craigslist, and finally one showed up that was just completely gutted. It had no pickup. The neck has clearly been broken at some point. Somebody did some reconstructive work on it. It's all dinged up. It was made in 1960 something, and so it's seen some better years. You know, it's seen some action, and I just love it. I fell in love with it. I put a Dark Star pickup in it. The bridge is obviously aftermarket. I have no idea what was on there before. It just came this way, and yeah, good things come to those who wait.
It's got these buckers that are built in, and I love the positioning of this because, you know, especially this neck pickup, it sounds so fat and so full, and it can really do that kind of classic bass sound that you've heard in all those 50s and 60s and early 70s kind of recordings. It does that flawlessly, especially with these flats. These flats have been on this bass since I got it. I never changed them, so I guess I am that guy now, right? A lot of people did modifications to these basses where they would take the bridge pickup and reverse it where the poles were closer to the neck, and it made it sound even fatter. I like the way it's set up naturally. I never really thought about that, but I wanted to mention it because, you know, everybody's entitled to do what they want. I like the way it's built as is because I think it gives a lot of character to the tone, still keeps it snappy and bright enough where you can kind of get that upright response to it also. So I think it's pretty cool as is. I wouldn't change it. One thing that I really did dig about this is the double binding, right? You can see the binding on the front and you can see the binding on the rear. It's got these great dual F holes on the front of the bass. It's 30-inch scale, and it's got these really cool inlays. These are pearl inlays, and I can't tell you anything about this bass besides what I have, and that it's held up amazingly well for being 55 years old. When I got it, and I'll go into that, it had this huge crack along the back of the body. And my dad took it to a luthier in town 20 some odd years ago, got it refinished and sanded down and fixed, and you can still see the scars, but you know, we all got them, right? It adds a lot to the character of this bass. The Hardware itself, it's all in-house. So Yamaha had these kind of standard. There was nothing really specific as far as the company goes at the time. It's got a wooden bridge tailpiece that the actual bridge is mounted to. It's wood right there. And what was really cool about this bass, and I love this, is that this bridged tailpiece over the strings themselves has a built-in foam mute. So it really adds to that, like I said, that kind of, I don't want to say Motown tone, but that old bass tone that you're so accustomed to hearing in a lot of the older music.
And of course, in keeping with most of Gibson's bass fashions, we've got a mudbucker and a mini humbucker, which is not actually accurate. This isn't really a mudbucker. These are both TB plus pickups. They're just in that shape of a housing. Now, with the mini hum and the bridge, of course, it is a smaller physical dimension, so it's a little different, but for all intents and purposes, these are TB plus Thunderbird pickups. Of course, this is a long scale at 34 inches, which I forgot to mention earlier. This is a standard long scale. You got a single volume, a single tone, and a three-way pickup selector. It's always fun to see a three-way pickup selector. I know that they're a little less versatile than double volume or a blend, but they're just fun.
In the 60s, there were two versions of this bass that had two pickups and one that has one. Obviously, this is the neck position pickup only. And so it's just got a really woolly, woofy tone, but you would be surprised at how much top end this thing actually has. So when I roll the tone knob all the way down, and that's all it's got, volume and tone. And when the tone knob's all the way down, think of it like a precision bass with flats, but with all of the sustain in the world, right? Because it's semi-hollow. And so it's just a fuller sound than what you would normally get from that old school P bass with flats. But then if you bring the tone knob all the way up, it's got so much brightness to it that you really wouldn't be able to tell that it's this old semi-hollow bass. This is, the body style is similar to like a Gibson EB2, which at the time, I wasn't around then, but I know Guild and Gibson were both kind of fighting for the same territory. So you look at a lot of old Guild, 1960s Guild guitars and basses, and they look very similar to what Gibson was doing at the time. I don't know who came out first, but obviously Gibson won out and they became the more popular brand. So any old Guild you can find, Guild acoustic instruments, Guild basses and guitars, they sound and play amazingly well, and they have a fraction of the price tag that a Gibson from the same era would have. You can see here it's got two different rests. I'm assuming this one's for your thumb and this one's for your fingers, which I guess that was a popular option back in the 60s. And the cool thing about this instrument is it just looks rad. So when you pick this bass up and you play it, you just get 10 extra cool points. However, it's like the definition of one-trick pony. So it comes with me to every studio session, and I maybe use it twice a year. But the cool thing is when this bass gets used, like the producer will play the track, and I'm looking at my basses, like which ones, and I can hear like, oh my God, this bass is gonna kill on this song. And it does, obviously, but it won't kill on every song. Just the ones that are more old school in vibe, that you want that McCartney-esque tone, or that's just sloppy indie kind of sound and stuff. But either way, when this bass is the right bass for the job, it kills like nobody else.
was really special to me, and I'm excited to show you guys what it sounds like and how it sounds like. But more importantly, what it means, right? Recently, I lost my father to cancer. When you're a teenager, or I guess any age, I don't know, but you have that kind of hit and miss relationship with your parents. Maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your dad. For me, it was my dad, where I thought, you know, what he wanted for me didn't match what I wanted for me, and you know, you just clash when you're a teen on a lot of things. It's a weird time. But one thing that really bridged the gap, I think is a good way to put it, is music. I got this bass when I was 13 or 14 years old. I don't remember now. And he took me to the swap meet out here, the Broadacre swap meet in Vegas. And it was after we got done working, and we went to go to the swap meet, and we saw this old musician that had this bass and a Roland combo amp, or Randall, excuse me. It was a Randall combo amp. It was I think it was an 18-inch combo amp. And I didn't even look at it twice. And my dad's like, "That's cool. We're getting that. You're gonna get that." And I was like, I don't want to play bass. I don't know anything about it. And he's like, "That's okay. We're gonna get it." So he bought it and bought this and the amp from the guy for, I think it was $350, which, you know, that's a steal, right? This was a long time ago. I'm not as young as I was. So we got it home, we plugged it in, and he played guitar. He was a guitar player when he was a teenager. He was in a band called the Missing Links, and he opened up for a lot of those bands at the time. That were popular. My mind is just so messed up right now. Oh, the Kinks. That was the name. They're a very old rock band called the Kinks, and he opened up for them on the East Coast. He's from Ohio, and he got to do all that stuff when he was young. And that was kind of the thing that started my relationship with my father as far as music goes. He sat me down, he showed me some relatively basic exercises, how to play some songs, how to do some things, and then he said, "You're gonna learn." I'm left-handed. This is a right-handed instrument, so I kept trying to like turn it over, and he's like, "Nope, you're gonna leave it just like that." I don't know. I was like, "But I can't play like that." He's like, "Yeah, you can." I mean, he's like, left-handed instruments are harder to find. They're more expensive. Just learn right-handed. Yeah, right. But I did. I sat down. I taught myself how to play right-handed. And there'd be times throughout my childhood, my teenage life, and even as an adult, where because he insisted on me learning to play bass, even though I wanted to play guitar because I thought guitar was cooler, he's like, "Everybody plays guitar. Play bass. There aren't enough good bass players. Be a good bass player. Dedicate something of yourself if you like music to playing bass. Learn this instrument. That's what I want." So I did.
So that just about does it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Do you own one of these? Do you want one of these? Do you have a friend who owns one? You know what I'm trying to say. Let me know down in the comments what you think. And I guess with that, all I have to say is like, subscribe, all that other YouTube stuff, and I will see you next time.